Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Because the entire intelligence community said that the Russians were the ones that hacked into these emails.
Meanwhile, evidence continues to surface that Seth Rich did, in fact, have contact with WikiLeaks before he was murdered. Seth Rich joins a long list of unfortunate murder and suicide victims with close ties to the Clinton crime family. I'm Darren McBreen, and you can learn more right now at Infowars.com.
Leading a
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. Today is Wednesday, May 24th, 2017. I'm Millie Weaver, and here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, Millie Weaver talks to liberals rethinking their opposition to Trump's travel ban after the most recent concert bombing.
If it could just filter out ISIS, that would be amazing, because there's so many people over there that are trying to get away that, like, I feel like there's so many Americans and Europeans that want to help those people without having the hassle and, like, issues of feeling like they're going to be attacked by those people.
And as part of President Trump's visit to the Vatican, Pope Francis gave the president his encyclical on climate change. Trump politely said, "I'll read it." David Knight will break down the radicals who wrote it and their radical agenda behind it. And John Bound on the Luciferian celebrities who say they're praying for America after the Ariana Grande concert bombing. All that and more on tonight's Infowars Nightly News.
During this Memorial Day, I want to thank the veterans that have fought, but of course, most importantly, those that have died, because that's what this holiday and remembrance is all about. Take advantage of these unprecedented specials and help support the tip of the spear in the fight against the globalists while supplies last. These are the biggest sales ever on these items. You add auto ship, several of these are lost leaders. So for myself and the entire Infowars crew, I salute you and thank you for all your prayers on this Memorial Day. Just understand that without you, there'd be nothing, because you are the Infowar.
This is the Infowars Power Pack, and it can start your car if it has a dead battery. And now we're going to use the Power Pack to jumpstart this truck, and we're going to show you. Switch on the Power Pack. Wait a few minutes, and then you'll be able to start your car. With just a few minutes on the Infowars Battery Pack, you go from a dead battery to this. You get all that cranking power in this little brick. The Infowars Power Pack is a must-have, and it'll give you peace of mind whether you're at home or on the go. It's so compact, it'll fit in your backpack, your glove box, or even your back pocket. Get one for your home, boat, car, camping setup, or just for emergencies. Secure your peace of mind today and order your Infowars Power Pack from InfoWarsStore.com or dial 1-888-253-3139.
I'm Millie Weaver, and I'm going to be taking you guys through the news tonight. Well, the latest liberal trend right now are men's rompers. Well, when I first heard somebody say to me, "Have you heard about the new men's rompers?" I thought to myself, where have I heard this word before, rompers? Oh, that's right, when I was shopping for my toddler, my child. So now liberals are having men, grown men, wear rompers, clothes that typically children wore. Now, in defense of that, women have worn rompers before. It has been a little bit of a fashion trend, but this started on Kickstarter, and it got overwhelming support. I mean, people gave $364,000 to these people so that men could dress in rompers. That's right. Now, it does seem like it would be pretty difficult to take off your romper to go to the bathroom. And Huffington Post came out. Now, this is where it gets pretty interesting. The liberal lunacy. SJWs were complaining and saying that you can't say that they're rompers for men. That's not gender neutral. They're saying that by saying that it's for men, it's a sign of male fragility. So apparently, these men's rompers have offended SJWs. So the liberal lunacy just continues, guys. It continues and spirals out of control. And Huffington Post is trying to say that, well, they should be gender neutral. All these rompers should be gender neutral. Well, there's a problem with that. See, these men's rompers have a zipper fly, and that's for men, whereas the women's don't tend to have a zipper fly, and that's for a reason. We are anatomically different, very different. So, you know, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these trends. Now, a recent survey has talked about a vast majority of people all over the world want global government to save them. That is a very alarming trend that we're seeing now, where people want globalism. They want a global government to tyrannically rule over people. And what are they saying? What's the reasons that they want this government? Well, they want it to help end climate change. They say that they want to see a global government tackle such issues as climate change, disease pandemics, artificial intelligence, and, you know, to tackle artificial intelligence turning against humanity, weapons of mass destruction, natural disasters, and asteroids. Well, can you believe they actually think that a global government could prevent an asteroid? Well, I mean, I guess the dinosaurs, they needed to have a global government to prevent a big asteroid from coming and wiping them all out. But yeah, apparently 3/4 of the people surveyed said they overwhelmingly wanted globalism. So that's an alarming trend that we're seeing right there. However, a positive trend that we're seeing is free market activism amongst people living in Cuba. So libertarianism is on the rise in Cuba. Cuban libertarians have been defiantly meeting in secret, having libertarian libraries and meetings named after the founding fathers. And these people have been being abducted by the secret police of Cuba, and they've been going missing. A man named Nelson Rodriguez Chartrand, a libertarian attorney, is likely the latest victim of a nationwide purge of anyone critical of the socialist state as it teeters away from the Fidel Castro era. So we're seeing this free market activism come to life in Cuba now, and people are starting to meet in secret, and they're realizing that they want freedom. They want capitalism, and that communism has failed them. But those are the things that you won't hear from the mainstream media. They're the things that you won't hear coming out of these Antifa's mouths. They don't want to talk about how everywhere else, communism has failed. It's always failing these people, and they always end up having famines. They starve. In North Korea, we have seen people have massive famines that wiped out millions of people. The deaths that can be attributed to communism are in the millions, people. It's pretty gruesome. Well, here's one that's really interesting. So Texas has now moved to ban Sharia law, and they're trying to block child marriages, which is part of Sharia law. So high five to the Lone Star State, which passed a version of the much debated American law for American courts. They say that, you know, Sharia law goes against American law, and therefore, although people say that religious practices and religious speech and things like that should be protected, which to an extent they should, when religious practices violate other people's human rights, that's when there's a problem. I mean, you can't have a religion out there that says that, hey, it's our religious belief to, let's say, conduct child sacrifices. Well, that goes against human rights. That violates somebody else's rights. And that goes against, even for libertarians, against the non-aggression principle. So Infowars, we got a hold of this woman who has been behind this whole movement here. Her name is Pamela Geller of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, for her thoughts on these new developments in Texas. She said the attention the intention is to stop the aspects of Sharia that contradict American law from being applied here. This law should accomplish that. Well, for many of you guys that don't know much about Sharia law, they have mandates for death for all homosexuals, death for all adulterers, death for anybody who speaks out against Allah, or anybody who even would try to depict the face of Allah, crucifixion for highway robbers, and amputation for petty theft. So they're pretty extreme. So our way of life in America, our principles that we're founded on, it doesn't go. And so I'm glad to see Texas moving ahead of the liberal trend and banning Sharia law from taking precedence in the United States. It just sounds so crazy to even say. Open border activists are they used a vigil after the Ariana Grande concert bombing. A vigil was set up in Birmingham, and these leftist activists crashed this vigil to push their political agenda. They were seen outside of this event, standing there holding signs that says, "Refugees welcome," and "Stand up to racism." I mean, how disgusting. This has only happened less than 24 hours, and they already have people out there trying to jump on it to promote their own political agenda. How absolutely disgraceful and disgusting is that? And this group is said to have been part of a Socialist Workers' Party front group. They're called Stand Up to Racism, and they tend to disrupt events that they disagree with politically. Sounds a lot like our SJWs, doesn't it? Well, another one here. Let's kind of talk about this Manchester suicide bomber and some of the revelations that have come out regarding this man. You know, he was apparently trained abroad, and his family had even reported him as being dangerous to the authorities. Apparently, the authorities were even watching him, and he was on their radar. So how did this guy slip through the cracks? And how did authorities not step in the picture and try to prevent this? Well, you know, it's a common misconception, you know, all this security, all this spying, how much has it actually even stopped any of these attacks from occurring? So apparently the killer had traveled to Libya just about 12 months prior to this attack having taken place. You know, ISIS claimed responsibility for this attack and even claimed that this guy was a soldier to the caliphate and his parents were Libyan refugees. Now, the UK has now raised their terror threat warning to its highest category. They're at the highest threat level right now for another terrorist attack. And security is being tightened at concerts and sports venues worldwide after this Manchester attack. Governments are saying, let's leave our borders open, but expand our internal police force. I mean, this is crazy. So is what we're seeing, are these globalists wanting all of these refugees to come in? A lot of them known soldiers of the caliphate, ISIS members, Islamic militants, so that they can come in and attack us, bomb us, terrify people in order to justify ushering in a police state and to usher in spying. People will be demanding that our government spy on us, that Big Brother watch us. So it's pretty interesting to see France and Italy and the US are now putting in additional security measures at their concerts and sports venues to try and mitigate this. But what's actually interesting here is that Italy is also at its highest terror threat level. And President Donald Trump is scheduled to go there as well as with other world leaders. And they're going to arrive in Sicily for the G20 summit on May 26th through 27th. So that's in a couple of days. And that's while Italy is at its highest terror threat. Even it says Minetti urged the highest possible vigilance, but added that the level of threat in the country remains unchanged. So even with their highest vigilance, even with all of their spying and police states and their new checkpoints that they're going to be having, they themselves even admit that it doesn't actually keep you safer and that it's a pretty big threat. And I'm actually a little bit concerned for President Trump in his travels to Italy. Now, New York police have been saying now that civilians should expect explosive detection dogs, counter-terrorism officers, and bag checkpoints in the city. So we've seen these TSA checkpoints at, you know, airports, at places where you would travel, but they're saying now, at least in New York, that they're going to be just in the city, on the streets. So we're going to see TSA checkpoints on the streets everywhere. I mean, it's pretty alarming that this is what is going to happen. Either we can try and go and get this travel ban put back in so we can start vetting people from coming in from these areas where ISIS is in control, or we're going to have to crack down on, you know, our security and make sure that these terrorists aren't committing the attacks. And that's exactly what they want. Problem, reaction, solution. It is exactly what these globalists want, and that's exactly why they're doing it. Well, another interesting story here is this new video game called Far Cry 5. It depicts these extremist white Christians as villains. Now, it's depicting white Christians as villains in their new video game. And it's just pretty crazy to see that they're actually trying to use these propaganda techniques to villainize white Christians in America, rather than let's just completely disregard the people like ISIS who are outwardly speaking out that they want to attack, they want to kill us, they believe Americans and people in the UK and people in Europe are the infidels, they're the crusaders, we deserve it, we must submit, bow down to Allah. But now they're going to be demonizing these Christians with this video game where they're the villains, they're the bad guys. I mean, they have them all sitting there at this table, like the picture with Jesus at the Last Supper with an American flag draped over it, and they have a man tied up in the front, and he's, you know, bent over, and he has sinner carved in his back. Like, they're such scary bad guys. I mean, they're really trying to demonize your American citizens. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Americans are cast as the enemy. Well, here's another interesting story here. So Facebook punished Paul Joseph Watson about a death threat. I mean, he complained about a death threat that he had received on Facebook. And Facebook had threatened to terminate his account. Now, he had actually reported this death threat, and this death threat sounded very much like it was somebody who was an Islamic extremist who was saying that, you know, basically the usual death threat. Okay, I'll let you guys use your imagination to an extent, but there was a lot of profanity and so on and so forth. So he reported their message, and Facebook came back and said, this does not violate Facebook's community standards. So apparently you can give somebody death threats, you can curse them out, you can harass them on Facebook, and it doesn't violate their community standards. However, so Paul went ahead and posted about this threat on his Facebook timeline, and then Facebook came back and said, this violates our content rules and that it must be removed, and that they gave him a warning saying that his account could actually be shut down or terminated because he shared about this threat that somebody had given him. I mean, how bizarre is that? I mean, it really just goes to show that Facebook is getting pretty corrupt, and they're really cracking down on censorship. And another one here, it says Hawaii updating their nuclear contingency plan over North Korea fears. So apparently experts are saying that Hawaii could very well be attacked because they're in the missile range of North Korea's missiles that they were testing recently. So that's pretty scary right there, that we have a really crazy communist dictator out there that wants to bomb us, wants to attack us, and that his missiles actually could reach Hawaii. So Hawaii has now been taking steps to prepare for the unlikely event of a nuclear attack. Well, that continues the news for today, guys. Stay tuned because we have an awesome report coming up with myself doing Man on the Streets, guys. So stay tuned after this short break. I'm Millie Weaver, signing out for you guys.
During this Memorial Day, I want to thank the veterans that have fought, but of course, most importantly, those that have died, because that's what this holiday and remembrance is all about. It's those that made the ultimate sacrifice for the belief they were building a better world. Didn't mean every war was good. Didn't mean they didn't get conned. Didn't mean they didn't get used. But I'm here to tell you, they were at least people that were willing to stand up for something. And that's worlds apart from so many of the trendies and globalist wannabes and minions of the establishment that want to take the easy road. Take advantage of these unprecedented specials and help support the tip of the spear in the fight against the globalists while supplies last. Our highest quality, name brand, silver bullet that we private label is already the highest quality and lowest price of what we sell it at. And I've never offered it as a loss leader like I'm about to do at 65% off retail right through next Tuesday. Super Male Vitality's been sold out for months, our #1 best-selling product. I normally just give 25% off. We are doing 30% off Super Male Vitality out of the gates through next Tuesday. Survival Shield, high quality, true nascent iodine, deep earth crystal source, has been sold out. We never offer it at 40% off. It's offered at 40% off for a limited time to, again, celebrate our patriots and celebrate those that died in the service of this great republic. Brain Force, now with 20% more in each bottle, is 47% off. We've, again, never offered it at that. It's a bestseller. It's been sold out. Why am I discounting it? Because I know it's a tough economy out there. I know the globalists have been trying to stop the Trump recovery. And I know this is a powerful product. And so if you try it, I think you're going to continue to want to buy it. Especially if you sign up for auto ship, that's an additional 10% off. When you add that in to 65% off Silver Bullet, it is a loss leader then for sure. You add that to the 30% off Super Male, that's 40% off. You add that to Survival Shield at 40%, that's 50% off. You add that to Brain Force at 47, that's 57% off. You add that to Secret Trouble at 43%, our vitamin B12 Methyl Bottleman, that is 53%. Knockout is at 50%, our Sleep Aid, that's 60%. We've never offered it at that. And all Infowars Trump shirts are 75% off retail as well to get the word out. These are the biggest sales ever on these items. You add auto ship, several of these are loss leaders. So for myself and the entire Infowars crew, I salute you and thank you for all your prayers and all your support on this Memorial Day. Hope everybody has a safe weekend coming up. We are at that crossroads. Today we call it bone broth, and for thousands of years our ancestors enjoyed its benefits before it became lost to our modern diets of processed junk. We are now introducing Caveman by InfoWarsLife.com, the ultimate in true paleo nutrition with bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, and 7 total primal superfoods in a single great tasting formula. Caveman. It's those people living in the wilds having to actually build civilization that are our superior ancestors, and we need to do everything we can to recapture that. Everyone knew that you used all the parts of the animal. You used the meat for sustenance, the fat for cooking, but you used the bones for strength. From the outside structure full of minerals and key cofactors to the marrow that produces the blood for the body, this is the engine of the life essence. I'm a long way from the caveman my ancestors were, but I'm sure as hell trying to get back to that essence that made us what we were, and this is a big part of it. I know you're going to want to check out Caveman Ultimate Paleo Formula for yourself at InfoWarsLife.com today.
This is Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. Well, there has been another terrorist attack at Ariana Grande's concert in Manchester, UK, which 22 people are now reported dead. Now, ISIS has claimed responsibility for this suicide bombing. So I'm going to be going and asking people whether or not this changes their opinion on Trump's travel ban. Let's go see what they have to say. Did you hear about Ariana Grande's concert?
We did.
Did that scare you? What'd you think about it?
That is scary for the fact that you should just go to a concert and have fun. I mean, don't even worry about that.
More so than anything, I just am sad that it's children and that it was targeted at children.
It was really scary.
That was terrible. It was all little girls. It's awful. Who would target someone like that? I don't know.
Do you guys go to Ariana Grande's concerts?
I haven't been to a concert, but I mean, like, we're in Austin. We go to concerts all the time, so it's like scary that it could happen, like literally anything and anywhere.
It is really scary because it's like I would go to an Ariana Grande concert, so it could be somewhere where I easily could be, and like you don't go to a concert expecting like there to be an explosion or like an attack or anything like that.
The world is crazy now. Unfortunately, no matter where you go, you're going to face something of it. I work for the airlines, so unfortunately, it's a crazy world. There's nothing you're going to be able to stop about it.
I don't think it's scary. I'm not going to let it stop me from going out.
Do you ever think about it when you're at like a public place or movie theater or festival?
All the time. I walk into places, I want to see where all the exits are at.
After like hearing about like yesterday or like when one like happens really recently, I think about it more than like just a normal day.
Does it change your opinion at all on Trump's travel ban?
No, I kind of supported his travel ban from the beginning. I think there's certain things, not all of it, but there's other things that should be added into it. So I think it adds to like the discrimination of, I guess, Muslims, and that's not necessarily Muslims' fault, but that person who decided to do that kind of messed up.
Yeah, I think there's always a vetting process from these foreign countries, but I don't think that there's anything, we shouldn't go overboard with it by any means.
I believe that there should be a screening process no matter who the people are across the board. I believe that there should be a screening process and there needs to be some accountability no matter who the person is and where they're coming from.
If it could just filter out ISIS, that would be amazing, because there's so many people over there that are trying to get away that, like, I feel like there's so many Americans and Europeans that want to help those people without having the hassle and like issues of feeling like they're going to be attacked by those people. And like, again, with racism, you don't want someone being attacked or attacking someone else just because they think they're ISIS if they're not.
There should definitely be more screening because like the ratio of people like in radical groups versus people who are actually refugees is a like 100 million to like 1,000 to 1 ratio. So the lives that are being affected by people during a travel ban, they're just seeking refuge is very like, you know what I'm saying, imbalanced. So I think a screening process would definitely help.
Do you think that people should reconsider Trump's travel ban given these recent events?
Yeah. For the simple fact is, part of the travel ban, we don't benefit from it. Half the people there don't want to come here. That's just the way it is.
I think that the travel ban is, I think he should stay right where he is for now.
What do you think about the fact that this person who bombed it, his parents were refugees? Does that change your opinion on the whole refugee situation?
I haven't really given it thought. It's so soon, and more so than anything, I just am sad that it's children.
What do you think about the fact that ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack?
I don't really know what to think about that. Obviously it's a negative force in our world, and we should definitely do our best to combat it, but I don't think that saying anything negative about refugees is the answer.
They're going to take whatever they can get if they do it or don't do it. It just gives them their own publicity that they want.
Unfortunately, do I think they really did something about it? Who knows? Nowadays, someone's going to claim it just for the notoriety of it.
I don't really know what to say about that. Like, ISIS is just like, it's a terrible thing, and it's like really like scary to think about, and it's just like, because I don't really know what exactly like we can do about it as like a society and just as like people in general. Like, we can't really like fight back or anything, and it's kind of like more large scale.
That is also very scary.
Do you think that this hasn't changed your mind at all on the Trump travel ban for Muslim nations that was temporary?
No, it has not. I still do not think that there should be any sort of ban whatsoever.
What do you think is wrong about the travel ban?
Well, I think that the places that he is trying to impose the travel ban are not actually the places where the people who are committing the terrorist acts are coming from.
There was a handful of places like Syria, Libya, where ISIS is running around, and that's where they're doing those attacks in the Middle East. So do you think that if we're gonna, even have refugees coming in, we should vet people coming from those ISIS-controlled areas?
Sure, and I think we already are.
So do you think that the judges that overturned Trump's travel ban, that they should undo that now?
Do you think they should take in consideration the travel ban again, just to see?
It should be revisited, but maybe just different terms and just maybe stricter rules, but maybe not a full ban.
Do you think that it's partially Trump's fault for this attack by making the terrorists mad?
No, I think this was going on before he got in office, obviously, but I just think as a country we probably need to be better informed and have better leaders and create a safer place for everybody.
I don't believe we should let ISIS agents into the United States, but at the same time, a lot of people are domestic and inspired by something over there rather than getting in, through a border. So a lot of the, ideas move much more freely than people do.
Do you think it's just too much of a culture clash?
Yes. They don't like us doing things. We don't like certain things. And it's just a lot of hatred going on.
What do you think is more important, political correctness or people's safety?
Absolutely people's safety. But I don't necessarily believe that should be at the cost of I believe we have a responsibility to help people as well. And I don't know in what context to do that.
Do you think that people are afraid of coming off as xenophobic or racist or anything like that, and that's why they are afraid to speak out against Muslim extremists?
I think so, for sure. I definitely think that's a factor in it. Because that is a piece of it. You don't want to just stereotype everybody into that one bucket, but I think that there's a middle ground, and it's really hard to find in this society and with social media and everything, where everything's just so out there and everybody's opinions are very black and white, and it's a gray area. So.
Well, just about everybody that I spoke to was very shaken up over this recent suicide bombing at an Ariana Grande concert. Some were reconsidering Trump's travel ban, but those who weren't didn't seem to come up with an alternative solution. This is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.
The Federal Reserve is a private banking cartel.
The Fed is a sometimes very independent organization.
What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
The Federal Reserve is an independent agency. There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
They print our money and then loan it to us at interest. The IRS is their collection agency.
So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter.
Jeff Duncan says he saw IRS special agents using semi-automatic rifles at a gun range. Now he wants answers to why the agency needs that type of firepower.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world? The central bankers in charge.
Know your history, and you will know your enemy. Infowars.com.
Electrify your day with Secret 12. It's like lightning in a bottle. We all have days in which we just can't seem to perform at the level we'd like to. Infowars Live Secret 12 is designed to naturally energize your body and mind with 2 great tasting and super high quality forms of vitamin B12. Proper vitamin and nutrient intake is essential to keep your body functioning at optimum levels. The reality is, it's hard to take in the proper amount of vitamins we need each day with our modern diets. Secret 12 by Infowars Live is an easy way to naturally naturally upgrade your vitamin B12 intake and support your body's natural systems. It pairs 2 forms of vitamin B12 into one explosive formula. Vitamin B12 supports healthy energy levels through red blood cell formation and aiding in the body's natural processes, but it also assists with many other functions of the body. Electrify your mind and body and take your health to the next level. Experience the power of Secret 12 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Visit InfoWarsLife.com to secure your canister. We have worked for years with our chemists and scientists to create the most powerful and affordable, great-tasting multivitamin formula available. Vitamin Mineral Fusion Drink Mix at InfoWarsLife.com is loaded with a full month's supply of essential vitamins, minerals, and amino acids that your body absolutely needs. In the history of InfoWars Life, we've brought out a lot of amazing products like Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality, and so many others. With its unique delivery system and proprietary manufacturing process designed for maximized effects, this formula is the platinum standard of multivitamin mineral products. And this part is most important. The ingredients in Vitamin Mineral Fusion are either plant-derived or of the highest quality lab standard. That means it's clean. That means it's pure. And rest assured, you're fighting the tip of the spear in the info war. That's InfoWarsLife.com and Vitamin Mineral Fusion. Take action now before we sell out. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently, we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make. We fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Today, it was President Trump at the Vatican meeting the Pope, and there was an exchange of gifts back and forth. You've seen the pictures. Some of them show a Pope who's happy to be talking to President Trump. Some of them show a Pope who doesn't look like he wants to be there. So it just kind of depends as to whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, as which pictures you're passing around on social media. But, of course, there's a history here. Last year, February 2016, the Pope said, "A person who only thinks about building walls wherever they may be and not building bridges is not Christian." That was a direct reference to candidate Trump. And Trump replied at the time, "Disgraceful." Now today, the president meets the Pope, and the Pope handed him as a gift his encyclical on climate change. This is a document, understand, that was produced by radical globalists who are anti-freedom, anti-capitalism, anti-energy use. Now, the president, if he had responded in kind, he would have handed the Pope back the 95 Theses of Martin Luther, which started the Protestant Reformation. But he was a little bit more polite. He gave him 5 volumes of Martin Luther King, a civil rights leader, obviously, and he said, "I will be reading the encyclical. I'll be reading it." Well, don't bother. And you don't have to bother either, because I'm going to explain to you the radicals who wrote this encyclical for the Pope and the agenda that they have behind it. But first of all, again, getting back to this whole issue, it's not the president's prerogative, or it's not his authority, his responsibility to lecture the Pope on religion. And it's not the Pope's responsibility to lecture the president on politics, on economics, on science. When he puts out the encyclical, you understand that what this literally means is a letter that is circulated around the church. It doesn't have the authority of a papal pronouncement from the chair, which they call ex cathedra. It is simply his opinion. But there is a connection, really, back to the Protestant Reformation. If you remember what was the cause of it, some of the political and economic reasons behind the Reformation was that the Catholic Church was putting out indulgences which required people to pay the church to get permission to sin. And a lot of that involved staying open on holidays, on holy days, which were multiplying beyond belief. And so the rising merchant class, the people who had small businesses, had to essentially pay a tax to them to stay open. Today, the indulgence is a carbon tax that is being sold by the globalists. People like Al Gore, the UN, that you'll pay the carbon tax to, or the bankers, or perhaps the Pope will get a kickback on this. This is the indulgence that is behind this radical agenda. But let's take a look first at some of the people behind this. There's a report from Climate Depot last year talking about the unholy alliance of the people who were advising the Pope back in 2015 when he put out this encyclical. And this is the way Mark Morano described it. He said, the Vatican advisors can only be described as a brew of anti-capitalist, pro-population control advocates who allow no dissent and are way out of the mainstream, even of the global warming establishment. As he goes through these people, he talks about how even the people who are pushing man-made climate change believe that these advisors that the Pope has picked are way out on a limb and have absolutely no credibility. So let's take a look at a few of them. There's Jeffrey Sachs, for example. Jeffrey Sachs is a hardcore socialist. At a 2007 international lecture, he claimed, quote, "We are bursting at the seams." He said the focus of his overpopulation mantra was primarily the continent of Africa. If only those poor African countries, he said, would just lower their fertility rate, the world and Africa would thrive economically. So he is a zero population growth, actually a depopulationist, just like Paul Ehrlich and others. At a 2009 Conference of European Socialists, he said that the socialists were the heirs and leaders of the most successful economic and political system in the world. He said that they would be the ones who would provide environmental sustainability and fiscal redistribution, and those were the successful elements in managing a just society. In marked contrast, he said, to the U.S., where taxes are too low. He's advocated, of course, a carbon tax. Is a good socialist. He likes taxes, especially the ones that redistribute wealth from the poor and from the middle class to the rich. Understand that when they're saying they're doing this for the poor, the people who are going to be hardest hit by this are going to be the people at the bottom rung of the economic ladder. People like the ones in Africa, where Barack Obama went and said, you're not going to have any air conditioning. You could have air conditioning here. If we did, the planet would blow up. See, people like Obama get their large entourages, their private jets, but not for the poor. You have to understand that it's not only our quality of life that derives from energy, cheap, affordable energy, but it's also our life expectancy is tied to that. But I want to focus here. We're going to skip a lot of these advisors because I want to get to the agenda. And there's one advisor, Hans Schellenhuber, a German. He's been an advisory board to the Deutsche Bank as well as the German government, but he also has a lot of connections to the British government, to Prince Charles, especially Queen Elizabeth. He's been given the Commander of the Order of the British Empire, CBE. He was part of the Climate Gate debacle at East Anglia Climate Research. And when all of that broke, the way that he defended that was to appeal to his authority, to his awards. He organized a bunch of Nobel Prize holders to shut down this controversy. And this is what he said, because he's speaking, pontificating from this position of authority because he is a Nobel Prize winner, just like these other people. At the time, he said, when one has become a Nobel Prize winner, one is permitted to speak about moral standards, for then, when one has been knighted, so to speak, one is raised above any doubt. That is the basis of man-made climate change that they tell us. They're not basing it on science. There's nothing here that they can measure. Even if they had produced some near-term results, every time they make a prediction, it gets proven wrong. But if they had something that could be, they had a model, they couldn't test it because they're talking about things that are happening decades or centuries in advance. Nevertheless, he's come up with a mantra that if we have 2 degrees change, the entire world will melt down. If we don't get down to 1 billion people, Schellenhuber tells us, then we are going to have a collapse of the Earth. Schellenhuber created the Earth League with Prince Charles. Seriously, that's what they called it. Of course, he has also coordinated in 2009 the Copenhagen Climate Change Conference with Prince Charles. That was an abject failure. They went on to help plan the Paris Climate Conference, which just happened this last December. He also was part of the Club of Rome and the Vatican Academy of Science. But I want to go back to this Earth League and their Earth Constitution that they put out there, because this shows their world government and where they want to go. As I point out, he's known for his advocacy of world government. He has proposed a global democratic society that he would organize within the framework of the United Nations. He would like to have a global democracy organized around 3 core activities. Number 1, an Earth Constitution. Number 2, a global council. Number 3, a planetary court. Now, the Earth Constitution would transcend the UN Charter and, of course, our Constitution and everything else. The Global Council would be an assembly of individuals elected directly by all the people on the Earth who will then decide they're going to take whatever they want from you. And the Planetary Court would be a transnational legal body that would focus on violations of the Earth Constitution. He said in 1988 in a study he wrote called Geocybernetics, he said countries should relinquish a good deal of national sovereignty in favor of, quote, powerful supranational institutions. The borders of our nation states have become irrelevant, he said. They're trampling on our human rights and our natural rights, and that can only be overcome by giving up a good deal of national sovereignty and establishing a true regime of global governance. No question about where this guy is. This is the guy, one of the 4 who created this encyclical and one of the key advisors to the Pope. This is what's behind this. This is why Donald Trump doesn't need to read it. You don't need to read it. This is what's behind it. And, of course, when we look at publications like The Guardian, as this came out, they said they criticized the Pope because he didn't talk about population control. Well, he didn't talk about that because that is diametrically opposed to everything that the Catholic Church is about. But you have to understand that this isn't just junk science. This isn't just feudalism to a global governance that is disguised as socialism and world democracy. This is also a pagan religion, Gaia, or pantheism. When they talk about this, they talk about Gaia as being this organism that is alive and actually responding to humans. They see you as a virus. See, it all ties together. The overpopulation, you're the virus that is killing the earth. And they quite literally believe that it is responding and cognizant. That's the words that Schellenhuber used, that the earth is cognizant of us and it is doing things to get rid of us. But of course, they're going to help it along with their global governance. That's what's behind this encyclical. That's why Trump and you don't need to pay any attention to it except to understand what it is and to speak against it and understand that it is in opposition to everything the Roman Catholic Church has ever supported.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician, because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician, because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You've got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.
The bombing in Manchester saw the usual predictable outpouring of thoughts and prayers from celebrities, notably Ariana Grande herself, well known for her I Hate America faux pas a couple of years ago. Regardless, our culture dictates that her thoughts and prayers and those of the elite celebrity class are paramount to us little people. But it was the thoughts and prayers of Katy Perry that grabbed my attention.
But I think that the greatest thing we can do is just unite and love on each other, and like no barriers, no borders. Like we all need to just coexist.
Oh my God. As you say in your grandbabies, which one of them could you look in their eyes today and tell them that they're expendable for another foreign person to have a nicer life? Which one would you like to say, you, my child, are expendable for someone else to come over here and not follow the law?
Perry tweeted out that she was praying for everyone in Manchester. The question is, who is Perry praying to?
And if you didn't know, Katy Perry used to be a Christian gospel singer until she says that she sold her soul to the devil to become a pop star in mainstream music.
You're doing really well now, but didn't you release a CD like almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil. Sold my soul to the devil.
Perry has displayed a full-blown penchant for Illuminati symbolism for years now.
It went from being a very secretive society to hardly anybody knowing about it. Only a few people had written books about it, to now everybody supposedly thinks they know about it, and it's become a part of pop culture. As you said, the cover of Rolling Stone this week is Katy Perry with an Illuminati eye earring, and in the article they mention Infowars, and she says, yeah, she wants to be a part of the Illuminati. And it's interesting. Most people, the pop culture maniacs, believe that the Illuminati is just a secret society of celebrities, and of course, in this Babylonian fallen society, that's the number one goal of most people. And it serves two purposes. It serves to condition the masses that their controllers are cool. They're the ultimate power structure that the little peon public want to be a part of. But this is also serving to help externalize the hierarchy, because as we know, the one world coming religion is going to be that of Luciferianism or Satanism. And they're all building up this big New World Order, Orwellian police state, unified currency.
And most recently, she appeared on Saturday Night Live, mimicking the sick elitist rituals brought to the fore by John Podesta's hacked emails. It reads, "Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is joining? That dinner Abramovich spoke of was nothing less than a Thelemic occult ritual. In spirit cooking, Marina uses pig's blood, which most resembles human blood, as a medium to connect the spirit world with the material world. Perhaps Perry was praying to the deity future presidential candidate The Rock mentioned during one of his skits.
Hail Satan.
This statement made even more stomach-churning as The Rock and the Saturday Night Live crew poked fun at a child-molesting robot.
And for the most evil invention in the world contest, I invented a child-molesting robot.
Only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. As nations become corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. John Bound for Infowars.com.
Katy Perry is a complete idiot. She responded to the Manchester attack carried out by a terrorist who was able to exploit open borders by calling for more open borders.
The greatest thing we can do is just unite and love on each other, and like no barriers, no borders. Like we all need to just coexist.
Yeah, it's easy to call for no borders when you live inside the secluded border of an $18 million mansion, isn't it, Katie? The rest of us, down here in the real world, actually have to live with the consequences of open borders. The very kind of open borders that let the Manchester bomber go to Libya and Syria for ISIS terror training and then slip back into the UK.
No barriers, no borders.
We're not worth $280 million. We can't travel around in chauffeured luxury vehicles and private jets. We're not so frigging arrogant, elitist and out of touch that we have staff who aren't even allowed to talk to us.
I love you today.
I love you, Katie.
I love you too so much.
After the US election, Perry restyled herself as an icon of the anti-Trump resistance, embracing her role as an ambassador of woke pop. Yes, really. This is the same clown who called for a revolution after Hillary lost. Hey, Katie, you're not Che Guevara. You're a dumb bimbo who dresses up like a slut and sings about popsicles. Don't you just yearn for the days when celebrities occasionally told the truth about the world, rather than this sterile, virtue-signaling malaise, where they all just say exactly the same thing? The only celebrity with the balls to tell the truth is Manchester's own Morrissey.
When you're northern forever, and you're instilled with a certain feel for life.
Who blamed mass immigration and political correctness for what happened this week. And for that, he was smeared as a far-right racist.
Everybody's absolutely mad.
But he's been proven completely correct. The bomber was acting suspiciously for months, loudly chanting Arabic prayers in the street, showing sympathies for ISIS at his local mosque. But the neighbours did nothing. They didn't report it, no doubt because they feared they'd be labelled far-right racists. Listen, leftist idiots like Katy Perry have no argument when it comes to open borders and Islamic immigration. That's why they have to use Muslims as rhetorical human shields. So when you attack their argument, they can claim you're attacking Muslims. That's why they deify Islam and Islamism. Because if you remove that human shield from the equation, their argument vanishes. I'm sick of Katy Perry and all the other vacuous celebrities with their lame virtue signaling. You don't have a clue what you're talking about.
I think, like, the greatest thing that we can do now is just unite as people.
Spewing empty platitudes about uniting and loving each other doesn't accomplish anything. It's just a coping mechanism so people can hide from the fact that they're completely powerless in the face of evil. And you know, I wouldn't even care. It would be pretty harmless. But many of the celebrities doing this are the same ones who exploit people's grief and emotion to shout down people like me as racist for trying to politically push for policies that will genuinely reduce the risk of terrorism, reduce the risk of little girls being maimed and mutilated. That's why this needs to be called out. And that's why Katy Perry needs to shut the up.
I love you, Katie. I love you too so much.
What could be more triggering to libtards than my face and this slogan? Get your new premium quality "Conservatism is the new counterculture" t-shirt right now at InfoWarsStore.com and let the butthurt commence.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. Thanks for watching the Infowars Nightly News.
Did you know that only 6 corporations control 90% of what millions of Americans see, hear, and read every single day? It's the illusion of choice. Think about it. The mainstream media is owned by only a handful of megacorporations with vested interests. But on the other hand, the internet is an interconnected network of billions of sources. So you can research information for yourself from multiple sources, or you can blindly accept what you hear or read in the mainstream media, never questioning what you are being told. This gives you a false sense of reality. I mean, do you actually know what you think you know? Or have you been programmed to accept someone else's version of events? Think about it. This is Darren McBreen, and I want you to break the matrix at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv and listen to The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on your mind.
I am very proud to announce the introduction of the highest quality Infowars Biome Defense Probiotic. We wanted to come out with the largest spectrum of high quality known probiotics that have been proven to improve overall digestion and health and detoxification in the body. Biome Defense is an exclusive blend of 50 billion live and active cultures from over 23 different probiotic strains that are known to support digestion and intestinal function. Our researchers are confident that we have been able to develop what will be the leading probiotic on the market. Secure your Biome Defense in ultra strength or regular strength at InfoWarsLife.com today and get started supporting your digestive system naturally. We've been testing this formula for years, but this is the limited first run to the public, so please take advantage of it today. Support your own health and support the InfoWar.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. Today is Wednesday, May 24th, 2017. I'm Millie Weaver, and here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, Millie Weaver talks to liberals rethinking their opposition to Trump's travel ban after the most recent concert bombing.
If it could just filter out ISIS, that would be amazing, because there's so many people over there that are trying to get away that, like, I feel like there's so many Americans and Europeans that want to help those people without having the hassle and